And in the background were people who just lost their homes, who just lost their siblings, who just lost everything they had.
Hmm.
And I could hear Haitian hymns being sung in the background
Hmm.
by people who just lost everything. And they're still praising God when their world essentially just got shaken to the core.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking play and joining me for what is going to be another great episode of the RESGEN Giving Life podcast, where we have meaningful and helpful conversations about being a man whose life in Christ gives life to others, at home, at work, and in the community. My name is Tom Henderson, the founder of RESGEN, and I'm honored that you're choosing to listen in and make this podcast a part of your day. Now, before we get into the show today, I have some great news for you. Are you ready for it? All right, here it is. Tickets for RESGEN Men's Summit 2026, which this year is going to be at the Denny Sanford Premier Center, are on sale now. So here's what I want to encourage you to do as soon as the podcast is over. I want you to go to the website, resgen.org. I want you to click on the RESGEN Men's Summit button and get yourself some tickets today. I know some of you are saying, Tom, the summit is not until Saturday, February 21st. So why in the world would I buy tickets now? Well, here's why. A couple reasons. Number one, it is sold out the last 3 years. And every year I have dudes that will text me, that will call me and say, man, I waited too long. And with the lineup that we have this year, even though, yes, we've got a bunch more seats at the Premier Center, we are certain it's going to be selling out again. So I want you to make sure that you get signed up and you get your tickets in hand. That way you can also pick what kind of section you want to sit in. It's all general admission, but there's floor seats, lower bowl seats, and upper bowl seats. So that way you can ensure that you get the section that you want. The other reason is because we need your help in filling the Premier Center. So I want you to begin to pray about what 5 to 10 men are you going to bring with you, and who are you going to help connect and grow in Christ this year at the Men's Summit. And it's so much easier to do that when you have your ticket in hand, because then you can say, hey, I'm going and I want you to go with me. Seriously, it's going to be an incredible time for the thousands of men who are there, and I'd love for you and the dudes in your relational world to be some of them. So head to resgen.org when the podcast is over for all the information you need and to get your tickets. All right, now that we've got the summit announcement out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the show today. Today, I'm being joined by Paul Perissien, a friend of mine who's a husband, a dad, and the executive director of Mission Haiti. And today, we are going to have a fantastic conversation about saying yes to God's call, even when it might be uncomfortable, what it's like living in and between two different worlds, and what we as Americans can learn from Haitian believers that could help us in our own faith walk. Trust me, that's just a glimpse into what the conversation that Paul and I are going to have today. So now that we've laid the foundation, let's get into it. Paul, my friend, welcome to the Giving Life podcast.
Tom, so good to be here. Thanks so much for having me, man.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we've actually been talking about doing this for quite a little while.
Yep.
I think we even had a conversation at Office Max one day. That's when we first did. And then we exchanged some text and then trying to line up just a schedule that would work because, as I even mentioned in that intro there, you do kind of live in and between two worlds of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and in Haiti. And so, we're going to get into all of that. But first, I think this may be an introduction to some of the RESGEN audience, some of the listeners of this podcast, to who you are. And so I'd love for you just to kind of give a quick little intro of yourself, your family, and just whatever else you want to tell us before we dive in.
Yeah. Again, thanks a bunch for having me, man. It's an honor to be on this podcast.
Yeah.
Huge fan of the podcast and of the RESGEN and all that you do.
Oh,
the amazing work that God is doing through you in so many men's lives. So, Paul Perissien, I was born and raised in Haiti, and I moved to the States when I was 10, turning 11.
Okay.
So, August 10th, 1996. And
Okay.
I remember that day like in the back of my hand, just because that day my life just changed, for the better. My father was already living down in Florida, and it was me and my 3 brothers and my mother. And he got us here safe and sound, and lived in South Florida, went to school, graduated from Florida State.
Okay.
With a teaching degree.
Okay. Seminoles. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It was a tough football season.
Okay.
coming back. We're undefeated, and then we won like one game.
Okay. It was in that stretch. Okay.
Yeah, it was quite sad, but yeah. So you know what? It was around that time that I truly wavered from the faith. You know, always
During your college years.
during my late high school to college years.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So, being born in Haiti, I always say that I was born privileged. And the reason being is because I was born to two believing parents. Both my mom and dad are believers, and they always stress us going to church.
So, Paul, let me just interrupt real quick because was that uncommon to be in Haiti? I don't know if it was in Port-au-Prince or wherever you were raised, to Christian parents, or was that pretty normal for at that time?
Yeah, no. At the time, it was very uncommon.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
To have one, but especially to have two, both your mom and dad being Christian believers.
Yeah.
So I was not in Port-au-Prince. I was in a city called Mole St. Nicholas.
Okay.
It is believed to be one of the first cities that Christopher Columbus visited on his first voyage.
Okay.
So very, very far away, very rural, right by the beach, but very far away from the capital city. So
Okay.
yeah, so having both parents to be believers at the time was huge.
Yeah.
Because voodoo was also
Right.
much bigger as well.
Mhm.
Which to those of you who do not know what voodoo is, it's believing in spirits and sometimes doing evil and bad. Very the opposite of being a believer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you're raised in a Christian home,
Yep.
even when you moved to the States in Florida, what prompted the move?
My dad, as a good father,
Yeah.
he did the best thing that he knew that he could do for us was to get us to the States,
Mm.
building of opportunity.
Yeah.
Haiti was and still is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere,
Mm-hmm.
and he knew as a dad, for him to give his boys and wife the best opportunity, it would be for us to come live with
Wow.
him. So he worked his butt off,
Yeah.
and he became a citizen himself.
Mm-hmm.
There were days when we were living in Haiti that things were tough.
Mm.
It was the late 80s and early 90s. There's not good communication, and it's not easy to send money
Mm.
down. So there are many days that I went hungry, that we as a family went without food.
Yeah.
But again, another reason why I believe that I lived a privileged life is because I knew food and money was going to come.
Mm.
I knew that dad was working, and I knew that money would come, and I knew that I would be fed.
Mm.
Where there's a lot of my friends that I grew up with playing soccer,
Mhm.
that I went to school with, that did not have that possibility.
Wow. So how long did he live in Florida prior to you all joining him then?
He moved there in 87. So from 87 to about 96, I saw my dad twice.
Wow.
He was only able to visit us down in Haiti twice.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was mainly raised by my mom and her sisters and grandma and grandpa. But even though dad wasn't there, he was such a respected man in the community, that it's like he just hovered around us.
Yeah.
I was like, man, you don't want to disappoint dad. But you are a little Parisian kid.
Yeah.
There's a standard
Okay.
that he left, that even though he was not there, his presence was there. But man, we give mom some hard time.
Yeah.
Boys running around.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm sure. So even though he wasn't physically there, he felt near.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Which I mean, that's such a powerful statement. I mean, think about like just spiritually, right?
Yeah.
With the Lord. Like, I mean,
Amen.
that, even though we don't have the physical presence of Christ within us or with like around us,
Correct.
we know he's near. So
Right.
anyway, your dad was like, was very Christ-like even back then.
He was.
Yeah.
Very much so. He was a leader in his church, and dude was so smart. I mean, he still is now.
Yeah.
But his nickname was the Dictionary. And the reason being is because he could tell you any word and their definition.
Yeah.
And my mom was a strong woman to
Like
be
him.
able to make sure that all four of us boys
Yeah.
took school seriously and never got into any trouble. So
Yeah. And then the word that comes to mind is just resilience.
yeah.
The resilience
Amen.
that your mom must have had, and then obviously your dad in his own right.
Yeah.
Because I think about, I mean, I know you got kids, and
Yeah.
you know, I have two boys that are 20 and almost 21 and 24,
Yeah.
and to think about, man, I'm gonna go and do life without them so that they can, and not only see them twice in 9 years,
For
like
sure.
that's next level of resilience and love in a completely different way.
For sure. And sacrifice as well,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And there's so many, especially dads, because mostly back in the day, it was the dads that left Haiti to seek that better life.
yeah.
I know of so many dads that forgot their family that was in Haiti and they started a new family in
Mm,
the States. And I know what has happened to these men and women that were my age that did not have an opportunity to really be loved and continue to be cared for by their father.
wow.
Just their lives are totally different from what my life is now, and it is because of the things that my dad did for me and my siblings, and the
Hmm.
strength of my mom as well. So
Do they still live in Florida?
they do. Yep,
Okay.
just outside of Orlando.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then where's the rest of your siblings at?
All in Florida,
Okay.
all enjoying the nice sun while
You're here in Sioux
we're
Falls. Yeah.
in Sioux
Yeah.
Falls. Um, yeah, that's the life God chose for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Have our bird.
Well, we're going to talk about like having just saying yes to the call even when it's uncomfortable a little bit, and obviously we're doing this in the summer here. Just got done with another power storm last night, with trees all down all over the city, the intense humidity. Although Florida has some humidity too, to be clear.
Dude,
But
hurricanes.
and some hurricanes, exactly. So, choose your heart, I guess, is really what it is. But okay, so let's fast forward then. So you began talking about just, okay, so you moved to the States, but
Yeah.
then when you went into like the high school and college years, which
Yeah.
is often the time when I think, especially as a young man, you kind of like figure out you're spreading the wings a little bit,
Yep.
developing your own identity. Who am I? You're, of course, developing your own faith at that time.
Yeah.
So you felt like that was a time where you were kind of maybe stepping away from the faith and not having it be as much of your focus, is what I understood.
Man, I just ran away. I
Okay.
didn't just step. I just ran away.
Okay.
I remember leaving Haiti. My brothers and I, what we always said that we want to become successful. What successful meant to us as 10, 11-year-olds, and
Yeah.
we want to go back to our town and we want to give back.
Hmm.
That was our mission. That was our goal. And I just walked away from that. What became more attractive to me were girls and partying and
Mm.
being popular, right?
Mm.
So I for sure just deviated from the faith. And I said no to God, and I graduated, and I was earning good money at that time, and I didn't use any of my time, talent, or treasures to give back to the people that I left, right, to my
Mm.
friends or to my town and to my neighborhood. But instead, partying was my number one goal, and
Mhm.
getting girls to like me, right? So yeah, that was one of the most that was the most disappointing time in my life as I look back at it now.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until 2010 when the earthquake happened in Haiti.
Yep.
About close to
Yeah.
250,000 people died. That God used that to essentially just slap me in the face,
Mhm.
to wake my butt up.
Mm.
And from that day on, I really tried to um, use my time, talents, and treasures
Yeah.
for His kingdom. But
Mhm.
yeah, that was a tough time that I went through. But I'm glad that God slapped me and woke my butt up, man. 'Cause
Yeah.
I needed it.
Yeah. You mentioned that earthquake, and I remember that earthquake
Okay.
in 2010, and I remember specifically that there was conversation about how, well, this is what Haiti deserved, because that so much of the country had given themselves over to voodoo
Yeah.
and had turned their back on God. It was a very dark place, and so this is what basically God ordained this to happen, kind of
Yeah.
thing, was some of the conversation. I'll never forget when Jim Wallace, who was in charge of navigators at the time,
Okay.
he said a lot of times when things happen like this, obviously of this magnitude in Haiti, but not just in Haiti, but like just in our personal lives, a question that we find ourselves asking a lot of time is where is God? Like where is God? And especially in this situation where it's like, well, this is God made this happen. He said, but that's not what I believe. What I believe is that if you want to know where God is right now suffering with the people of
Mm.
Haiti. He's right there in the midst of all these people. And I just remember that so vividly, just such a powerful statement of remembering that God is for people
Amen.
and meeting us in our moments of brokenness. And so for you, Paul, as that earthquake happened, you're seeing the news, you're seeing the pictures. You hadn't been back for a little while, I'm assuming.
Correct.
And so what did that strike up within you? I mean, obviously it was a man, I need to come back to the Lord at that time. He used that to draw you to the Lord. But like, what was it like to see the visuals coming out of this country
Yeah.
that you came out of?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? Before having that realization was just straight up anger,
Hmm.
right? It's like, why God?
Yeah.
Why Haiti? Why continual just destruction and continual people just suffering? And specifically in that earthquake, I have a cousin who died in that earthquake with her twin babies.
Hmm.
They were like 1 year old, and they died. You know, why did my cousin have to die? So,
Yeah.
so a lot of anger as I watched those footage. But one night after partying, I was in my apartment and I was watching CNN. I
Mm.
turned on CNN, and there Anderson Cooper was talking to some folks, and in the background were people who just lost their homes, who just lost their siblings, who just lost everything they had,
Hmm.
and I could hear Haitian hymns being sung in the background
Hmm.
by people who just lost everything, and they're still praising God when their world essentially just got shaken to the core, right?
Yeah.
And here's this guy in the States in his comfortable apartment, cursing God.
Hmm.
So it was really that specific moment in time that God used to say, hey, look at those folks and look how are they still praising me while you're over here cursing me.
Hmm.
And what have you done with the blessings that you have? So that is what God used to really get me to wake up, man.
Yeah.
So
So at that point, this is 2010, so 15 years ago. You
yeah,
feel God calling you back, number one, into a right relationship with Him.
yeah,
And at this point, I mean, are you single in your life right at this point still? Married? Where are you at just in your own journey there?
I was very single.
Okay.
And me and my buddies, my best friends, they're still some of my best buddies now. We just used to go party all the time, right? And I made the faith my own, and like the switch was instant,
Yeah.
right? And they're like who the heck is this guy? Where's the Paul that we used to know? And about 10 days later is when I met my future wife at Red Lobster. And she was the opposite of me in regards to our faith. Like, she made her profession of faith probably when she was like 2 months old, or
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that, right? She just never wavered from the faith. So she's from Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Yeah.
And at the time I was working at Red Lobster
Yes.
after graduating from college.
Yes,
And
he's serving up them cheddar biscuits. Yeah, dude.
yeah,
All you can eat shrimp.
all
They
you
put
can eat
him.
shrimp.
That made him go bankrupt.
They
Too much.
did.
Too much. All you can eat shrimp.
Too much shrimp in the belly. We served them too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I met her, and instantly I started to woo her,
Yeah.
and we fell in love. And
Yeah.
even before we got married, we did mission lob, is what we used to call it, mission lob. So we used to take our friends from Red Lobster to bring them to church.
Yeah.
And even before we got married, we knew that we wanted to be missionaries, and we wanted to be missionaries to Haiti.
Mm.
So fast forward 2 years after we got married, this mission organization called Mission Haiti
Yeah.
came calling. And Jay Wastra, who was
Yep.
superintendent of Sioux Falls Christian, found out that one of his young ladies that graduated married a Haitian guy. And at that time, I was a teacher. I was a social studies teacher.
Yeah.
And they were studying a new school in Haiti. And this school was going to be meshing Haitian teachers with English speaking teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So they needed somebody to bridge that gap. So we visited, I visited Haiti in 2013,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw the amazing work that our founder, Pam Plaisir,
Yep.
and our Haitian brothers and sisters were doing in Haiti. And my wife didn't come with me. And I got off the plane. She picked me up. She said, hey, how was it? I said, It was great. How about we move there in June?
Yeah.
So I finished out the school year.
Yeah.
We moved to Haiti, just she and I, in June of 2014.
Yeah, dude, I love this. There's a ton that I love about that story. Number one, just going back to even just how you met Bethany and at the Lobster, because that's how I met my wife. Was not at Red Lobster, but at TGI Fridays.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And where we had to have at least 25 pieces of flair, but it was Laura who was really like living a Christ-focused life, and I was just kind of living my freshman year of USD life and doing all the things that that you're doing out at Florida State.
Yep.
But God got a hold of my heart just through a lot of great conversations with her, and so I believe that there are a lot of good couples that can come out of the restaurant business at times, and then even just the timing of that, it's interesting because so when I started ResGen in 2010, one of the first things I did was take a group of adults to Mission Haiti.
Really?
Yeah. So because we launched it in April 1 of 2010, and then in June, I took just a group of 16 adults. Because I knew Mike and Pam at the time, and she was always like, "Man, I really want to get you down to Haiti and whatever." And I'm like, and so I said, "Okay, I'll do it." And so I'd taken countless mission trips with teenagers to like Mexico and different parts of the country for inner city stuff.
Yeah.
But I'd never taken adults.
Yeah.
And that was my first instance of taking adults on a trip where all of a sudden, teens, you go down there and it's like, hey, you're kind of an authority, and you say, this is what we're going to do. And so teens are like, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to work hard. And then sometimes you get down there with some of these adults, they're like, it's hot. It's really hot. And I'm going to tell you something, Paul, like it's hot here, but then there's Haiti hot.
There's Haiti hot, baby.
Bro, there is Haiti hot. And I'll tell you, I'll never forget. And I'm just going to a little bit of story here. Then we'll get back into some great questions for you. But like, I'll never forget. One day we hiked up to this area to do a Bible school for a bunch of kids and all this kind of stuff, right? And so we had tough terrain, just hotter than blazes. We spent about 3-4 hours up there. We're lugging all the food. We're doing all the stuff, right? Well, then we bring all the kids down because we're going to give shoes.
Yeah.
And these kids are trucking down this hill. I mean, it's like a mountain. And it is, like I said, it's rough terrain. Like we're like twisting ankles with shoes and all this stuff, and they're running down barefoot.
They just go.
They're just go. And like I'm like, how are your feet not just how are they not bleeding all over the place? But and then I was in charge of when we got all down to the Mission Haiti site. I was in charge of reading all the names to let them know when they could come and get fitted for their shoes. Well, I mean, it was a lot of names that I couldn't pronounce. Like, I had to ask you. I mean, we've known each other. I've always known you just as Paul when we'd see each other out in pub. I had to ask you, like, Paul, how do you say your last name? And so, but like, I had no idea. And so I'm like guessing, and then these kids figured it out. They figured out that I didn't know their names and I didn't know who they were. So then what happens is I say a name and all these kids are raising their hands saying that, and I'm like, I don't know what to do here. And
I'm next.
bro, they're pressing in on me so hard, and I've never had this thing. So I'm like really hot, but I look down, I was wearing, just some shorts. And I had like sweat water pouring down my my legs, because all the concentrated heat from all these little dudes and dudettes down there, like just trying to press in and get their shoes. It was
the Haitian heat.
Oh my gosh, it was so laying on a cot at night and all this kind of stuff. So but that gets me into the question about like how sometimes God's call on our life calls us out of the comfortable. I mean, we kind of made it a little bit of a joke there with Florida versus Sioux Falls, but like so we were down there for 10 days. I think it was about I think it was 8 days, 10 days total by the time you get to doing the whole air travel and what have you. But that was something that was a really I think important spot in like my life personally, as well as in a lot of these adults' lives, is that realizing discomfort. But we were only there for 10 days. And so for you, as you think about saying yes to this call, and I know that you're from there, and that God radically called you back to him in 2010, through a choir behind Anderson Cooper, which I just love that story too, by the way. I love that. So, but tell me just about even in your own headspace in Bethany, because I mean, you do this together. And so tell me just what it was like to say yes, even when it is uncomfortable.
First of all, I never knew that you visited Mission Haiti.
Yeah, dude.
Never that.
Yeah.
Like my mind is just blown right now.
Yeah.
And it's crazy what that connection, like,
Yeah.
there's another level of connection that you and I have. Because
the sidewalk that leads to one area, we poured that whole sidewalk. Yeah, my buddy Nick Howard, he was kind of the crewman in charge of making sure that happened. We had a great crew that went down. It was super fun. But anyway, so
you know how many times my son has ridden his bike up and down that sidewalk?
We poured that sidewalk.
All because of you.
Yeah, not all because of me, but our team, we were able to pour some sidewalk. Yeah.
Legit. Gosh, but yeah, getting back to your question, there's so many there that we can hit on, and I think one thing specifically is, me going back to Haiti as, having lived there, by that time I was already Americanized,
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh yeah.
I had to relearn French. My Haitian Creole was still pretty good, but I had to relearn French, and I had to relearn so many things, like having to use, like, I know this is pity, but like having to use an outhouse for the first 3 years when we lived there, that was the hardest part for me.
Bro, that ain't petty at all. I remember that. It's probably still the same outhouse. I don't know. I remember.
You change it up.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I remember sitting there, and then I see this, like, down by my feet, this big old spider, and I'm like, I got to hurry this thing up.
Yep. Are we going to talk about the flies coming out?
It was, yeah, so I remember. But anyway.
But, I knew that it was hard, and my parents really did not want me to go back. They really did not want me to go back, just because they knew how hard they worked to get us out of Haiti, and for me now to go back and live there. And they also kind of know how dangerous Haiti can get as well. But I think it's more of my wife. And, you talked about your wife. It's crazy how our lives would have been so different if we did not meet our wives when and where we met them.
Yeah.
And we would not be sitting down here right now, without a doubt. Yeah. Right. And, it's so important for us men when, even if we're married, or especially when we're about to choose that person we're going to marry, to choose wisely, because that just changes your life completely.
So
right.
Good.
So for my wife to have never been in a developing country whatsoever, for her to not have had to visit Mission Haiti with me, because I could visit and she could not, and for me to say, yes, babe, this is where God is leading us, and for her within a second to say, yes, let's go. God has blessed me so much with an amazing wife. She actually loves the Haitian people more than I do. Because I know my own people. I know how we get sometimes. But being able to say yes, and now about 12 years later, to see where God has led us, and for us to still be able to continue to be in that work. And we might get into more of it, but we spent about 8 years living in Haiti, and at that time we grew as a family. Our kids, now we have 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy, and they were born in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Sanford. And about a month after, as soon as we could get their passports, we moved back with them to Haiti. So growing as a family and going through difficulties that being missionaries and doing God's work does, without my wife, without God sending me my wife those 10 days after I became a believer, to help me with my faith walk. God has been so good to me, man. Bless me with a good wife.
I love that. I love that. And I mean, even just hearing the emotion and just the love in your words as you talk about her, and that's such a beautiful thing. And I love too the fact that I think, like, when people move to a new area and they buy a house, unseen because they just like they looked at the house on the internet and then they said, "Oh, okay, I'm just gonna buy that house." Or there's a trust from one spouse to the other saying, "Hey, you know what? I walked through the house. It'll be great. It'll be like," I just like in my brain that my brain doesn't wrap around that because I like to be like, yeah, but the angle they took that picture, it makes that room look a lot bigger than it actually is, or whatever. But to hear that Bethany was like, okay, you know what? Let's roll with it. Let's go ahead and move into like not just a house that I haven't seen, but a country.
Yeah.
That's what a special thing. Which you totally know, like, man, this is 100% God's call.
Yeah.
That's now evidencing itself in a deep commitment, number one to you, but a deep commitment to Him to say, let's go to this space and do this ministry together.
Sure.
Man,
Sure.
that is so good. So tell me about just as you think about the living in both worlds.
Yeah.
So like, okay, so you lived 8 years. I mean, you're kind of going back and forth between Haiti and Sioux Falls. That has to be a challenge at some level. And
Sure.
so share about some of that.
Yeah. Even with my brothers, so I have 3 brothers and a little sister now that was born in the States. The way that I see Haiti, the way that I see the world is even different than they see it, just because they have not lived in Haiti and spent as much time as I have in my formative years. But seeing how hard life can get, and life can get very, very, very hard in Haiti for the people that we get to serve. For parents having to choose whether they're going to feed their kids, or whether they're going to send them to school. Um, if there is medical care, those kids who had to walk down that mountain, like imagine us, the ripe age that we are, being sick and having to go down that mountain, 2 to 3 hour walk just to get to a medical clinic, and then walking back home being sick in your old age, not having social security, not having anything to fall back on. People live hard life. And now imagine having or going to church every single Sunday and sometime during the week, living those hard life every single Sunday, going to church. And that is what the Haitian people do. The majority of the people that we serve with Mission Haiti, that is what they do. Even with the hardest of lives that they still have that faith, and they still continue to press on, and they still give God the glory. So for me, being able to still be comfortable, right? Even when I'm in Haiti, Tom, if I get sick, I know that I can get the best care possible. And if I get really sick, I'm a dual citizen. I can just fly back
Is it
to
back?
the
Yeah.
States. I never have to worry where my next meal is going to come from. So having to wrestle with these 2 types of lives,
Yeah.
of like God, like, why do people have to live such hard lives here in Haiti? And why are some people get to be so comfortable maybe here in the States? But what I've also learned is that we all have problems. We all go through troubles.
Yeah.
We all go through our difficulties. Maybe the problems that our Haitian brothers and sisters face in Haiti might look different than the problems that we face here. But even here, we go through losing someone special in our life. We go through addiction. We go through mental illness. So many things that are here, right? And what's still most important that I've found is, what are you going to fall back on? Having your faith, being strong in the faith, knowing that whether we're comfortable here or whether we're uncomfortable there, whether we're uncomfortable here in the States, whether we're comfortable in Haiti, at the end of the day, this life is temporary.
Yeah.
This life is temporary. So trying to wrestle with that, but having the opportunity for God to put me in the work that I'm in, being able to see both worlds, being able to see what our brothers and sisters in Sioux Falls have, the positive impact that they have made in Haiti, miles away. People who will most likely never get to meet each other in this life.
Right.
Having that positive impact is just a
Mhm.
huge blessing, man. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So you talk about that. Okay, they live this hard life, this working hard, heat. I mean, no, they're not going to the AC, and like maybe it's really strong structures to even obviously deal with earthquakes and
Yeah.
winds and all the things. So if you could kind of, what are some lessons, or just even if it's one, but like, what is one lesson that you've learned from Haitian believers that you feel like, you know what? Um, that's something that we need to learn from
Hmm.
them.
Hmm. Right now, Haiti is at a level 4 from the State Department, which means do not travel. Do not go to Haiti, is what the State Department tells you. But specifically, they are talking about Port-au-Prince, the capital city
Mhm,
of Haiti. More than 1 million people, and 80% of the Haitians that are living in Port-au-Prince, they're around gang-controlled areas
mhm,
where their life depends on whether the gang is happy with them or not, right? And what I know to be true is there are still churches that function in those areas.
mhm,
There was a hurricane that happened in 2016, Tom, when I was living there in Haiti, and it was a level 4 hurricane. And most structures in Haiti are not built for even a level 1 or a level 2
right,
hurricane. And almost everyone's homes, all of their roofs were gone. Like their houses, most of them were gone totally.
mhm,
All of their livelihood, which is like their coconuts or their mango trees, all of that gone.
mm,
I imagine if it happened here in the States and we don't have no insurance, no home insurance whatsoever, everything that you had is just gone.
mhm.
What would that do to our psyche?
Yeah,
Oh man,
yeah,
that would create some really, really hard things for us. But when I woke up the next day after that earthquake, after that hurricane happened, where people helping each other, people are helping their neighbors, people going to church, um, people being ready to help their neighbors through this hard situation.
mhm,
So, what I have learned from believers is, again, to have your faith in God, but to always be ready to help.
mm,
And people think of Haiti as, maybe from what they see on the news, that it is a country that's populated by gangs or a country full of people. Why can't they get their crap together?
mhm,
Having lived in both worlds, I know that some of the best people on this earth are in Haiti, and some of the best or some of the strongest believers are in Haiti. That even through the suck, they still their faith in God. They're always still saying Hallelujah, man.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's so good. So, like, if you could sum this up, and this may be, and I think you probably already alluded some of this, but when you think about just ways that your faith has been stretched, right, and how you've experienced growth in your own personal walk with Christ because of what you've seen, because what you've been able to be a part of, I'm sure there's moments where you felt like overwhelmed and like crazy stressed out about like, man, where do we even start, and how do, you know, how can I make the kind of difference that I'd like to make, you know, but there's, government orders that are in place that will keep us from going there, or even just like having to have the faith that God's going to protect your kids.
Yeah,
I mean, which I'm sure there's a question a conversation that you and Bethany have had to say is, man, how do we just trust God with our kids,
yeah,
as we have them growing up in this environment
yeah.
that is seen as dangerous? So, I mean, maybe I just answered all the questions with my question, but personally for you, Paul, what have you seen God do just in your own faith and in your own walk with Him?
I think to sum it up is to rely on Him,
Yeah.
um, and knowing that He is the one that ultimately will keep us safe and secure in Haiti. I won't go into too many details, but the reason why we left Haiti and we left Haiti to not live there full time at the end of 21, it's because about 4 or 5 guys in our neighborhood wanted me to give them money under the table. Gangs were having more and more control in Haiti, and they knew of other organizations that were giving gangs money. So these are guys that I had been living around for 7 years. These are guys that they have siblings that work for us in Mission Haiti. They might have some other kids that
Mm.
goes to our school, but for us to function, they wanted me to give them money under the table, and I said no. So there were 4 or 5 times that they threw rocks inside of our property
Mm-hmm.
that we lived in. And in one instance, around 9 o'clock at night, my son was on his little tricycle, going down that path
Mm-hmm.
that you and a few others built, and rocks and bottles came flying in,
Mm-hmm.
man, just came flying in, and he was 2 years old, and that's why we left,
Mm.
and we closed the mission down for a month.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys apologized. The community came,
Mm.
and they said we'll not let that happen again. But that was a real moment of despair.
Yeah.
It's like, why the heck am I going to continue
Mm.
doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Why should I continue to go ask money for these folks' neighbors or their kids or their siblings, right? While they're putting my life, they're putting my kids' life, they're putting my uh, life,
Yeah.
my wife's life in danger. Why should I continue to do this? And you know, kind of how how you said towards the beginning of when that earthquake happened in 2010. A lot of people said that like maybe Haiti deserved this because
Yeah.
they did that voodoo, right? And you know what? Those same guys that were throwing those rocks at me, do they deserve to go to hell? Do they deserve the ultimate punishment? And I mean, at times I said, heck yeah, they did.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when they almost hit your kid.
Well, heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
And a lot more.
Hmm.
But as God calmed me down and spoke with me, ultimately I need to want what is good for those guys.
Yeah.
Um, I should want what is good for the kids, for their siblings that are still working with us.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I deserve, or I mean, I don't deserve it, but God gives me grace, and God forgives me.
Mm-hmm.
I should forgive them as well.
Yeah.
So we just came back from Haiti, and again, Haiti is a level 4. They tell you do not travel, but we're able to travel there safely with me, my wife, and our 3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
And we spent a month in the same yard that those rocks were thrown.
Mm-hmm.
So there were nights where I did go to bed scared.
Mm-hmm.
There were times when a mango tree would hit that tin roof and it was bam loud.
Yeah.
I was like, dang, is that a rock?
Mm.
That's coming. Um, are they going to hurt me, or are they going to try to hurt my kids? But none of that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, my hope and my security is in the Lord.
Yeah.
But I as a dad, need to make sure that, to the best of my ability, that we are going to be safe being there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But thankfully, we were. But yeah, I'm veering off now. But
No, dude. That's all so good and such. It's just gold. And what a, I feel like that's such a good reminder for all of us in that, we all have people that cause some challenges in our life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Probably maybe not to the extent, that you just
Sure, but
that you just
still
shared.
there, man.
But and it's easy to, in our humanness, in our flesh, forget that, man, Jesus died for them too.
Yeah.
And he desires that they would understand his love and his forgiveness and the freedom that can come from walking in that and understanding what it is to be in relationship with Christ. And when we remember that,
Yeah.
like, it really demands a perspective change.
Mhm.
And yes, we need to be wise. Yes, we need to be smart. I mean, in your situation, it's not like you're going, all right, I mean, you're going in with eyes wide open in this situation.
Yeah.
But for us to just be so mindful of, man, sometimes we can almost have this thing like, well, Jesus died for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I've accepted that gift. And so it's all good.
Yeah.
And
I
yes,
have made that decision.
yes, praise
have
God
changed.
that you have.
Yeah.
But the reality is but there's so many others that have not. And that's this whole idea of even understanding in our own lives, wherever we're at, that God has a call on every single one of our lives, and to step into the discomfort of what that call may require.
Yep.
Because we all have people that maybe are a little bit more challenging at work or in our neighborhood or whatever. But for us to say, man, you know what? God has placed me in a position, in a location. Back when I used to do student ministries, I used to talk all the time about like, hey, the person that's in the locker next to you, that's God. God strategically placed you there
Yep.
for this reason. So when we begin to think more along the lines of, man, but what if? Like, what if because of your example that you set for them, they could understand Christ's love and their need for forgiveness and be in a relationship? And that's what you just voiced so well there that, like, I just hope that listeners just caught that of saying, man, we, Jesus died for all.
Yep.
And we're a part of now introducing all to Jesus.
Yep. Yeah.
That's good.
Amen, man. And one quick story is, one of those 4 or 5 guys, when we went down about a year and a half ago, he said hi to us, and my wife answered him back, and I was like, "Hey, why?"
He don't deserve your hi.
Like, what is happening? And then a couple of days later, we were going down and walking down to the basketball court, and I see him, right? And again, this is someone who maybe almost busted my kid's head. Like it's like I know he's gonna say yes. It's like what the heck am I gonna do? I'm sorry. I know he's gonna say hi. Like, what am I gonna do? So he actually reached out his hand to shake my hand, and it took about 1.5 seconds for me to make that decision whether I'm also going to reach out a hand to him as well. All of the thoughts that ran into my head
Yeah.
was maybe my kid being died because of those rocks and bottles that he threw, right? But also, thankfully, I remembered that I was him. Maybe not to that degree, but also good. God pulled me out of my rut, so I shook his hand, and we said hi, and he apologized, and I said thank you. And those are hard,
Yeah.
right? Those are hard decisions to make, but yeah, we must remember that God pulled us out of that rut, and who knows what a handshake can do, right?
Yeah.
We never know.
Oh, that's so good. Well, I've got a few more, just a couple more questions I'd love to be able to touch on here before we wind our time down together. But as you think about just the years of working with Mission Haiti, and one of the things that I know is that you have so many local Haitians that are carrying out the ministry, like whether you're present or you're not present, right? And so as you think about just your view of leadership, how has your view of leadership changed, maybe from when you started to now 2025, so 12-ish years later? So how has your leadership changed, and then what excites you the most? So it's a two-part question, but and what excites you the most about what's going on there right now because of that leadership shift?
Yeah. When I first got down there, I thought I was a big shot. Here's this Haitian American kid.
Yeah.
I was born and raised in Haiti, and now I have this education from the States. I was a teacher, and I know so much, and
Yeah.
I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then I got out, I was like, I have no clue what I'm talking about. I have no clue what I'm doing here. I realized quickly that I needed to learn. I needed to learn, how to encourage the people that I worked alongside of, or the people that God put me as their leader. I needed to know them as people, and not as someone that I think that I'm going to lead, but people that we are going to um, guide this mission together. And more that I lived in Haiti, more and more that I just gained respect, for those teachers who also have to walk 2 or 3 hours back and forth to go to school, or our director of evangelism, who have to walk all around just to say, Jesus love you, Jesus is coming back, Jesus love you, Jesus is coming back. Being able to understand the level of hard that they go through just to do the work that they do, and switching my mindset that this is not me that's going to do the work that they do, but it is them, and they know best than me what is needed. And my job is to help guide them, help them reach that ultimate goal. So when we were leaving Haiti in 21, I I wasn't sure if the mission was going to continue.
Yeah.
I had lived there for 7, 8 years, and I ran things there. But thankfully, you know, we have so many good leaders that are there right now that are doing the work. And it's because of the people that they are. They have the smarts.
Mm.
They want to be the leaders of their community. They know what their country needs. They just need a little help. They just need a little guidance. And we are in good hands.
No.
Like right now, we have more than 400 employees, and we have schools and medical clinic, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
All of that is Haitian led.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, when I moved there for the first time in 2014, I don't think that this was possible. And Haiti being at a level 4, being one of the most dangerous countries in the world, um, our community is still thriving.
Yeah.
All the ministries that we have going on, um, they are still preaching God's word. Kids are getting educated.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to the medical clinic and getting all the medical care that they need. And all of that is because of the work that our local Haitians are doing there now.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt that they will and can continue to do that work. But of course, it's hand in hand with the amazing community that we have here in Sioux Falls and South Dakota
Yeah.
and Minnesota and Iowa that is able to walk with them and giving them the opportunity to do God's work and to care for their community.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
Man,
very encouraged, man.
that's so good, dude. And I mean, what I heard there was just that leaders are always to be learning, and to continue to think about just like, man, I want to learn from you. I want to learn from you. And how do I continue to help mobilize you to do the work
Yeah,
and that's helping them fulfill God's call on their life,
correct.
because I think there's a lot of times too that it's like, well, it's all about my call. Again, going back to even just like, it's my gospel, right? I mean, but it's my call. Well, God also has a call for their life. And so you've been able to help people understand just more and more what God wants to do and mobilize them to carry on that ministry, whether you're present or not, which is an amazing thing. And you speak about just the community here, and obviously the Sioux Falls community is very, very supportive of you and your ministry, and I mean, it really is. It's not Paul's ministry; it's your family ministry. It's Mission Haiti. It's and Sioux Falls is such a big part of it, from businesses, but going down. I mean, 10 Acres started that a long time ago.
Yeah.
Taking teams down there back when he was with Click Rain down to Mission Haiti, and I don't know if he built a sidewalk. We did, but anyway, I'll have to ask him. But at any rate, but no, I think about just the humility that you show, brother. It's just so great. I mean, because you're doing such great work. I'm just so proud of you. I'm just grateful that to just see how God is just utilizing you, but not just using you, but how deeply you just want to grow in Christ. Because at the end of the day, if it's just about being used by God, I'm doing all these things, and there's not that personal growth in our own walk with Jesus and in our walk with our family, then man, what are we really doing? Because success, John Maxwell, who's going to be at the summit this year, as you know, but he always says that success, the best definition for him is always when the people that know you and are closest to you, love and respect you the most.
Yeah.
And so, as you think about just your ministry and your leadership and all of that, what would you hope that that your family and those closest to you would say about you, like 10 years, 20 years down the line? What would you hope? I didn't ask you that. I was going to tell you that. I was going to ask you that question. But like, what would you hope that they would say?
um, I don't know. It's just hard to think about myself, but um, I, we have me and my wife have put our kids through some hard
Hmm.
times. And they're so good just to get up and go, just go to Haiti.
Hmm.
And they also have to deal with living in two worlds as well, right?
Yeah.
When they leave Haiti, they cry, right? And they have so many good friends here, and they've been through hurricanes, they've been through earthquakes,
Mm-hmm.
they've been through rock throwing at them. So I just hope that my kids understand why my wife and I, why we do the work that we do,
Yeah.
and it's to love God.
Yeah.
That is our first mission, to love God, and hopefully knowing that through us saying yes to do the work that we do, that they know and understand that God is glorified. It's not because of us,
Yeah.
but it's because God has truly put us in this situation that it'll be so stupid for us to say no.
Yeah.
And even when it's hard, to not go back, even if it's for a week or even if it's for a month, for us to not think, you know what, I think it's safe, guys. I think we're able to have you come down here. So, um, and because in 10 years, I hope that I not the one that has to be the leader of this organization,
Mm.
right? I hope that Mission Haiti continues the work of loving Jesus, loving others, and making the disciples. And the leaders that we have here continue to grow and continue to flourish, and that God's name is still glorified. But yeah,
Yeah. Well, dude, that's so good. Let me just affirm you and say, I know, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, that that's exactly that they'd say that you love God, you love people, which of course begins with Bethany and them. And because of that, you say yes. You say yes to the Lord and whatever he's called you to do. And, the reality is, brother, and you know this, is that that's what God he desires for all of our lives. I mean, we all have the same mission. I mean, really, when you think about it, like we love God,
sir.
love people, and say yes to Jesus and whatever he's calling us to do. So,
Sir.
one last question, because that's going to kind of take us into this last question before I just ask you to give kind of a final word.
Yeah.
But for someone that's listening,
Yeah.
who says, man, I want to live my life on mission for God, right? I want to make a difference. I want to make a difference in my life, a kingdom impact, and they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Because I think it's sometimes we can listen to this and be like, okay, well, Paul's got this thing, or Tom's got this thing, or like, this pastor has this thing or whatever, but like, I don't have a thing. Like and I want to be used by God, and like, where do I start? What encouragement would you give them today?
Like I think being a missionary, like being called a missionary, sometimes I don't like it just because people believe that it's because I serve in Haiti that I'm a missionary.
Hmm.
You're a missionary.
Hmm.
Like we all missionaries here. We all
Yeah.
call to spread the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
So my advice would be to start where you are.
Yeah.
God has you in your job for a specific purpose. God has you in your neighborhood for a specific purpose. God has you or has the friends around you for a specific purpose. And us as men, I know sometimes it's hard to talk about our feelings or emotions or to be vulnerable or things like that. But, I go to a Bible study now every Friday mornings,
Mm-hmm.
6 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
with some men that are a little bit more seasoned in my church. They're in their 70s
Oh yeah.
and 80s.
Awesome.
And what I hear them talk about, they have been such a huge encouragement to me. Just being able to talk about life, right? What God has thrown their way and the mistakes that they've made and the things that they're still working through. So even right now, if any man who's listening is not part of a community group, like you need to have some men around you
It's good.
that you are able to talk about the things that are going on in your life, but you can serve the church, you can serve the people at your work.
Mm-hmm.
You are a missionary
Yeah.
where you are right now. You don't have to go to Haiti.
Mm.
You don't have to give to Mission Haiti. There are so many local organizations here that you can also give your time, talents, and treasures as well. But first, it has to start in your home.
Yeah.
You know, whether that's your sister, that's your brother, that's your cousins, that's your mom or dad, or that's your wife
Mm.
and your kids. Um, you have to first be a missionary to your wife, to your girlfriend, or to your kids,
Yeah.
and spread your wings, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, brother, this is so good. I'm so grateful for you saying yes to the Lord, and then yes to my invitation to come and hang out at the podcast table with me. And as you know, we do have a time in our at the end of each conversation where I call it the final word, where you can just share whatever the Lord lays on your heart, 60 to 90 seconds, whatever. But prior to having you do that with the listeners, I'd love for you to just share, like, someone wants to connect with you, someone wants to just know more about Mission Haiti,
Yeah.
you, whatever. Where do they go? How do they connect with you and follow up?
Yeah. Visit www.mission-haiti.org.
Yep.
That dash is very important because there's so many Mission Haitis. Like, we have such a generic name.
Yeah.
Such a generic name. So that dash,
Yeah.
www.mission-haiti.org, or send me an email, paul@mission-haiti.org. I
Yeah.
love to talk about Haiti, but also talk about life, right? The things that are going on. So I'm blessed to do the work that I do,
Yeah.
that God has me in. So you can reach me, email me, call me,
Yeah.
and we'll love to have coffee and talk about the wonderful work that our brothers and sisters in Haiti are doing.
Yeah.
So now, last word.
Last word, dude. Do it.
You know, today, Mission Haiti has an elderly home as well, where we have 17 elders. But today we have the funeral of one of our elders that just passed away.
Hmm.
She was 82 years old. Haiti's life expectancy is 63. So even though that, death is sad, death is a hard thing. But she was able to have care for the last 10 years of her life. And these past 6 months, she was sick, and she went to the hospital, and she came back, and she spent a couple of more days. And it was hard to see her go. I'm getting pictures and videos, and this morning was the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but part of that work that I get to be a part of is seeing the dignified way that she was able to meet Jesus. The people that were taking care of her, the caregivers, and she has what we called advocates here in the States, kind of like a sponsor, but they're advocates, that people who specifically are in her corner, who have been praying for her, who have been able to help her through these hard parts of her life. So that's just a snippet of what God blesses me just to be a part of, to see His kingdom at work,
Mm-hmm.
His mission in life at work. It might look very different. It might just be helping someone have the last 6 months of their life be in a dignified way.
Mm.
Um, and I think no matter what you're doing, no matter where you are, God has a plan for you. God has a plan for your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go back to what I said, is that I truly believe that we as men, we must pick up the mantle and be able to do God's work. And even if we don't really understand why God has me doing this, we need to be missionaries where we are. Who knows what we are helping people through the difficult situations that they're going through.
No, so true. So good. Well, again, Paul, thank you. Thanks for your friendship. Thanks for being here, sharing more of your story. Some really good content, just as that I know that's made a difference in my life, and I have no doubt that's made a difference in listeners and viewers' lives here today. So, thank you again for just the way that you're pursuing Jesus. The way that you are pursuing the mission that Jesus has for you and your family, and working tirelessly towards that mission. And there's no doubt that Haiti's a better country because of you and your work, and Sioux Falls is a better city because of you and your work. So I really appreciate you,
It's too kind.
and thank you, my friend.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for what you do.
Yeah.
Thank you for the positive impact that you have had in so many men's life, with the RESGEN Summit, with the date nights, with those conversations. They do so much. They have helped me. They have helped the men I know that are in my church. And I know that it gets hard. It's difficult to balance at times, but God's blessing to you and to all of your listeners, man. Thank you for what you do, brother.
Yeah, bro. Well, I told you that was going to be a rock solid, meaningful conversation with Paul today. And so I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, man, I can't encourage you enough to share this with other people in your relational world that you think that could be helpful and meaningful in their life as well. Reminder, after you jump off the podcast, head over to the website, check out all the information about the Men's Summit. And then, of course, don't forget to head to mission-Haiti.org to find out more about Paul, his family, and the work that they are doing, that God has them doing in Haiti, along with over 400, think about that, over 400 Haitians that are carrying on the ministry, whether Paul's there or not. That's true leadership. So make sure to check all that out as well. We'll be back for another podcast in the coming weeks. But until then, continue being men whose life, who's in Christ, gives life to others. Appreciate y'all. We'll see you soon.